Hey everybody, today we are going to be talking about the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I'm going to be approaching this review from a visual content creator perspective. So we're going to be looking at photography features, video features, and just general usability, and if I would recommend this being a tool in your kit. So if you want to know how I feel about this phone without watching the whole video, to make it short and sweet, I think it's amazing. I really do. Just to see how far phone cameras have come in the past, I don't know, 10 years, it's just mind-blowing. Sometimes I look at the quality of the pictures that I take on this phone and I think like, man, I am scared for mirrorless cameras within the next few years or so, because these phones are really starting to catch up, and not only catch up, but offer a lot of benefits that you aren't seeing in the mirrorless lineup right now. And obviously when I say mirrorless, I'm also kind of lumping in DSLRs into that category too. So as a photography tool, I think that it's pretty invaluable to have a device that you usually have with you all the time, and you're also able to take it out and snap a picture within a matter of seconds. So anyone who's been doing photography for a while now, you know how quick a moment can pass you by. So having something where you have easy access to your camera is really kind of essential. So with the iPhone and really any smartphone that's come out in the past few years, the ability to take a picture and then upload it to social media in this sort of seamless process is what is so desirable about having one of these in your kit. So I often think to myself, man, I already have a few cameras that are really capable. They have bigger sensors and they can obviously dish out more professional results than this, but that's not really the point of having the iPhone in your toolkit. I think that the iPhone is pretty essential in facilitating the connection between your clients and your followers, or whatever you're using it for. It's just one way to add more quality to the content that you deliver. There's a ton of situations where I just don't want to bring my mirrorless camera with me, and the fact that I already have this on me and it can deliver great results is a huge benefit. So it's 2020, and obviously the image quality on this phone is going to be amazing. Just given the past 2 years that we've had with smartphone camera production, we know that we're to the point where you can comfortably share really nice photos on your social media websites like Instagram or Facebook that come out of these smartphones. But the thing that's kind of differentiating this phone compared to the other iPhone models that came out this year is that smartphone manufacturers are starting to put larger sensors in to their phones. So the larger sensor paired with the technology that's already in the phone that allows you to enhance the image quality or just increase the ease of use is really beneficial for the consumer, because now when I want to take a picture in a lower light environment, I have no hesitation in bringing out my phone instead of going to get my Canon R6. And really, I think that that's the number one reason why I would recommend this phone, is that it allows the user to take low light portraits or photos with really high image quality. In general, I think I still lean towards preferring a more manual experience for photography. So when I'm just taking pictures for fun, I like to have that more manual and tactile experience with setting the ISO and your shutter speed and your aperture and really having more control over that. But that being said, with the iPhone, I think that third-party applications allow you to get more of that experience. So obviously you have applications like Lightroom and Snapseed where you can, really individualize and set the look of your photos and put your own style into it, after the fact. But you also have applications like Focus now. They take advantage of the LiDAR sensor in this phone, and you can really start to modify the appearance of your out of focus areas and mimic the look of portrait lenses, vintage portrait lenses that a lot of photographers seek out. The fact that you can do that in this phone is really amazing and makes it pretty special. Also, there's applications like lens distortions where you can add flares or different visual effects after the fact in your post-editing process. There's two things that stand out to me as things that I wish I could upgrade in this phone, and I'm sure will be coming in a future version. I wish that the sensor size for the ultra wide and the portrait lenses were bigger, just so you'd be getting similar quality like you get in the standard lens. And I also wish that the portrait lens that they added in this phone was as fast as the one that they have in the other iPhone 12 Pro models. So I think that those have a 2.0 aperture, and I think that this one has a 2.2 maximum aperture. So, and the main issue being that I'm getting good results with the portrait lens in the middle of the day when I have a lot of light to work with, but when it starts to get darker, I usually just have to default to taking portraits with the standard lens. Now, the reason I think that Apple made that decision to make it a slower lens was because they extended the focal length to 65 millimeters instead of 50 something. So if they would have kept a larger aperture, it would have been way more difficult to make all of these lenses the same size. So it's I understand why they did it. I just wish that it didn't have to be that way. So if you pair RAW capabilities with the night mode, deep fusion, and the LiDAR sensor, you're really getting a unique tool for your kit. So this is, even though it is pretty expensive, I think that it's worth it for people who are content creators. And I forgot to mention that LiDAR sensor that's in the phone, I think it really helps out with getting more accurate separation between your subject and the out of focus areas when you're taking a portrait. And it also really helps with autofocus in low light environments. That applies for both photography and videography. So let's get to the video features in this camera. Now with the iPhone 12 Pro, you have the ability for the smartphone to bake in Dolby Vision HDR into your videos. So I always have that turned on because I think it makes the videos that I take look pretty amazing in the phone. And while I know that the usability of this feature isn't really there yet, since a lot of people don't have HDR monitors or TVs yet, I do think that having that ability in this phone is what makes it really special for video. There are some situations where the HDR will end up making your footage look a little bit unnatural, but for the most part, I think it enhances the experience. I wish it was a little bit easier to share the HDR videos with other people. Like for instance, I wish that if you were going to share it to someone else with an iPhone, that it would just convert the video to a standard version automatically if they didn't have an iPhone 12 Pro. But what I usually do is I'll go through LumaFusion, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and I just convert the video to a standard version and then share it. Like I said, the image quality for video is really great. It's to the point where I actually might consider buying ND filters for this camera just to be able to get the shutter speed right. But I think that the other features like the sensor stabilization that is in this phone, and that's specific to the Max, make it a really great tool for taking videos. Like, I don't feel the need to buy a separate gimbal for this phone because I think that the IBIS is good enough. Also, the ability for this phone to shoot in a 10-bit color profile is really awesome for your post-processing workflow. One thing that I wish Apple would upgrade is the image quality for the slow motion in this phone. You know, when shooting at 120, there's a little bit of a hit in your image quality. 240, I probably won't use that much just because it's pretty noticeable that there's a degradation in your image quality. Another thing that makes this a really awesome tool for video is that you can download applications like LumaFusion, which is a really high quality video editing application that reminds me of Final Cut Pro. And you can really just do all of your editing on the phone. It won't be as robust as Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, but it has the majority of the features that you need to make videos for YouTube or just for personal use. And those applications paired with the speed of this phone is what really makes it a tool that's desirable to use. So I find myself reaching for this phone to edit videos now a lot more than I used to. So just for closing thoughts on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, I think that if you're in the position to upgrade your phone and you are also into creating content in the form of photos or videos, then you definitely want to consider buying the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It wasn't too long ago that smartphones started to kill off point and shoot cameras, and we might be getting to that point where, or we already are getting to the point where a lot of amateur photographers or videographers are kind of straying away from mirrorless cameras and just doing a lot of what they need to do on smartphones. So again, I still don't think that this is going to be the professional work tool that you need to replace your more high-end cameras, but it is definitely something that will supplement your content creation. So that's it for today. If you like the content, please help me out by subscribing, and I will see you guys later.